So this section number 3 is the basics of life. It represents Earth. It is love, hate, trust, deceit, human nature, and a longer time frame. Number 2 represents plants. It's things in life that evolve and grow, such as work, health, finance, your intellectual development, family relationships. It's about growth and planning for the future. Finally, we have section number 1. Number 1 represents animals. It's vibrancy, aspirations and goals, immediate action and vitality. It represents immediate concerns such as possessions, ambition, travel. It is the urgent and what is foremost, especially in the querent's mind. Unfortunately, it often blinds the person because of the urgency of this section. It often blinds the person or the querent to the more important but less urgent concerns of 3 and 2. So that's the cloth. Now let's go on to the bones, or in my case, the wood. So we've gone through what each one means. And I will go through it slightly again, and then I will go through what it means when the bones are crossed over. So number 1, and obviously if this was a bone, the domed end would represent the tip or the pointing end. And you see I've made mine out of wood. I do show that. If you look up the video you will see how I made these. So number 1, it's hidden strengths. It's things that are maybe not at first evident in the reading. It's got a kind of relaxed and friendly sort of aura to it. It's very positive, especially when pointing to the same section as number 2. Now number 2 represents endurance. It denotes the importance of the reading, especially when in conjunction with number 1. Together, these two, if pointing in the same segment, can lessen completely and reduce the impact of negativity that number 3 can have. Now 1 and 2 together represent stability. Okay, so number 3. Now this is a bone. I'm going to call them bones. Okay, it's a bone of caution. It denotes possible problems and areas where there are possible problems. Now if number 1 and number 2 are pointing into different sections, then the power of negativity increases even more with this bone. Now if 3 and 4 point to the same segments, once again the negativity is multiplied. This brings us on to 4. Now 4 is quite an interesting bone. It's the least powerful of all the bones, and yet it gives more importance to all the other bones. So if it points to the same section as another bone, it increases the power of that bone. In this way, it provides us with a focus for the reading. So if it points to the same section, say as bone number 2, then it increases the importance of number 2 and what this means in the reading. Number 4 it reveals the more transient and changeable aspects of life, and therefore the more changeable aspects in the reading. So now we go on to what it means if when you throw the bones they are crossed over in any way. Now if you have more than one bone crossing another, so you get a bit of a jumble, discard the reading and start again. It's okay to have two lots of separate bones crossed, but it's not okay to have, for instance, this, where you have more than one bone crossing over another single bone. So now we're going to go on to what each bone means when it crosses over another, starting with number 1. So if number 1 is crossed over the top of number 2, then the long-term positive aspects of the reading are somewhat increased. If you question where you are in your life, in any aspect of your life, whether it be your life in general, work, home, love, and you feel that you may need a change in any area, this crossing of the bones adds strength to your convictions that change is the right thing to do. It may take a while, but the outcome will be positive and good. So now we have bone number 1 crossed over number 3. Now, when number 1 is over the top of number 3, it cancels out the worries and concerns that 3 brings up. It calms the situation, and it teaches you to listen to your own instincts rather than advice from others. Next we have 1 crossing over 4. If 1 crosses over 4, you must take note of the very last aspect of the reading. Usually number 4 has the least significance in a reading, but in here the final words may be more important and of more influence over what your plans should be than the rest of the reading. Not to discard the rest of the reading, but this actually makes it, this part, the very last part, more important. And what I shall do is, when I tell you what each reading means, the basics of it, you will understand that the last sentence is going to be the most significant from every reading if the bones are crossed 1 over the top of 4. So now we go on to bone number 2. So if number 2 is crossed over the top of number 1, this adds such a positive influence to the entire reading that many of the negative influences of 4 are obscured. They are, even the negative influences of 3 can be obscured. But it takes away a lot of the negativity and therefore the worry in a reading. Now if 2 is crossed over 3, they kind of cross each other out. This is a positive and a negative crossing each other out. Now this may indicate some disturbance or even a battle within or between the indicated pointers. So depending on which segment they're pointing to. But it must be said that eventually negativity will lose out and a positive outcome will happen. So next we go on to 2 over 4. Now 2 over 4 shows indecisiveness. It can mean that there is no answer to the question, and if really important decisions are urgently needed, perhaps it's best to cast again. Okay, on to bone 3. 3 over 1, it's nervousness covering strength. It's a sign of caution that you should beware with long-term results and the implications of long-term results within this reading. 3 reduces to some degree the positive and long-term considerations of 1. Now we go on to 3 over 2. Now when 3 covers over 2, this is where caution, which is 3, becomes a slow and steady influence over the reading. So it gives you more power for common sense and a positive outcome. It's not a negative part of the reading. It's where caution becomes useful and therefore should be taken heed of. Caution will give you a positive result in this case. 3 over 4, this is caution, this is beware. It is a warning not only on how to interpret the reading, but how the querent should proceed with their plans. It's telling you that things may not be quite as they appear, and you should really look carefully into what your plans are and how you should proceed. On to number 4. Now number 4 over number 1. Now there are 2 interpretations of this, if this happens. The first is you should consider how 4, although the weakest of all the bones, can alter and modify a reading. It represents unexpected change. The second way of interpreting it is that 4 will diminish the positivity of 1. And the questioner, the querent, must really consider carefully the negative outcomes of their endeavours and how that will impact their life and how they will handle a situation. It's not don't do it. It's if you do it and it doesn't turn out exactly how you expect, how will you cope with that, and what plans do you have in place to help you cope with that? Next, 4 over 2. 4 can only be lifted by the positive strength of 2. There's no real change or influence. Rather than the negative impact of 4 pressing down 2, 2 lifts. So it increases the strength almost of 2. It lifts, the 2 will lift the negativity away. 4 covering 3. This is probably one of the worst parts of a reading. It's a show of worry, and there should be concern over the general meaning of the reading. These 2 crossed over crosses out any other influences to other bones. It cancels out the benefits of other bones pointing to the same areas on the cloth, the same segments. So it is to show caution, but to have real concern over, are you in the right frame of mind to even accept what this casting will tell you? So that's what happens if any of the bones are crossed. Now, each way a person interprets the cast is unique, and sometimes it will seem that the message you are being given by the cast and the bones does not have any significance to the querent or any of the questions asked. But before dismissing completely the cast, ask yourself and ask the querent, is there something being revealed here that is so unexpected that you would wish to ignore it? Is there something being revealed that you must find the courage to see? There is a question being answered here that may not have actually been asked out loud. Another messy desk and another reading of the bones. Now, I'm going to try and get through these as quickly as I can. Let's straighten this out slightly. Okay, so we've had 1, 1, 1, 1. Once again, I quickly explain the reason you have these numbers. It does need ironing, doesn't it? It's simply because 1 is the first bone you read, 2 is the second, third, 3 is the third, and 4 is the fourth. That's why I've marked them 1, 2, 3, 4. Once again, if these were actual bones, this would be the long thin bone, this would be the fat bone, this would be the broken bone, and number 4 would be the small bone. So let's point them to 1, 1, 1, 2. So these are all pointing, 1 is pointing to 1, 2 is pointing to 1, 3 is pointing to 1, or animal, if you like to put it that way. Animal, plants, earth. Animal, 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 plants. So here's what the reading says. Of course, you have to do it in conjunction with if they were like crossed or things like that. But the basic reading for this is, now with both 1 and 2 pointing to the same direction, to animal, the first segment, but with number 3, which as we know is the more unlucky, shall we say, the more negative aspects of the reading, also pointing to the same place, the pivotal bone, the one that defines the reading, becomes number 4. So this becomes what's most important. Basically, this is what it means. Appearances in general are very important to you, and I say you as in the querent, the person who asked for the reading to be done. And even if you do not judge a book by its cover, you are well aware that many people do, and this is something you really should accept. Some people are just flawed in this way. However, is it that some people are flawed in this way, or most people, or everyone is flawed in this way? Do not judge others, because you may only get one chance to make a first impression, but even friends of many years can judge you on your appearance as you probably do so to them. They look for signs that you are well, that you're not tired, that you're happy, because they care. But they can only truly help and be part of your life if you do not hide your true face from them. Now, bearing in mind how important looking good and proper is to you, you must also be aware that looking good begins first on feeling good. Like I said, this is more to do with more transient and quick feelings. This is a warning to say that appearances aren't everything. It's a warning to strike balance in your life. Neither work too much nor play too much. Don't sacrifice friends and family for work, nor vice versa. So the main point here is balance. To make the best of your life and reach your full potential, you must have harmony, balance. Your outward image must reflect the true you, the person you are inside. Whether that person is happy or sad or whatever emotion you are, however you feel, the out you must reflect the inside you. So don't put a mask on. Don't cover your feelings with a false impression. Be you. Do not pretend to be someone or something you are not. Do not waste your energy on creating an outward appearance that does not show the real you. Denying the real you and putting a fake face to the world is not only lying to others but to yourself. It places barriers in the way of all types of relationships by confusing those who wish to know you, the real you. Now, we all know that you can smile and the world smiles with you, pretend to be happy and you will become happy, but that isn't always an answer. You can only truly have balance if you are honest inside and out. So if the bones are pointing in this way, 1, 1, 1, 2, that's your reading.